old friend. I've come to talk to you again, because a vision softly creeping planted seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. Restless dreams I walk alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turn my collar to the cold and damp, and my eyes were stabbed by the flash of neon lights, split the night and touched the sound of silence.
Do you remember where you were when the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up? I do. It was January 28th, 1986, and the second semester of my freshman year had just started. As news spread of the mid-launch explosion, I found myself staring in disbelief at the TV in the packed student union. No one spoke in that airless hallway as we watched Dan Rather explain and re-explain the technical details of how such a tragedy could have happened. The next day, I trudged in the cold to my English lit class. I was still upset by the news, as was my professor. For the next 50 minutes, he drew parallels between Challenger and the short story that we were reading, Joseph Conrad's The Secret Sharer. In this classic tale, a nameless ship captain befriended a mysterious stowaway named Legat. Conrad was such a skilled writer that we never knew if Legat was real or a figment of the captain's imagination. But real or not, we gleaned that a powerful bond had formed between the two. Legat protected the captain from succumbing to his insecurities as the ship's young leader, while the captain took great risks as he guided Legat to safety. By the end of the story, the two men became each other's secret sharer. Professor Taub concluded his heartfelt talk by giving us permission to grieve for Challenger. In our communal grief, we would see our own vulnerabilities. The 7 astronauts may have been strangers to us, but a part of each of us was in that cockpit with them. We were their secret sharers. Some 30 years later, Professor Taub's words would come back to me as I waited to meet with my surgeon for my annual scans. Before coming to Sloan, I had my surgery elsewhere. I was 4 years out from my breast cancer diagnosis, and the technician from the other hospital had just come into my exam room and informed me that my images were clear. My surgeon would be coming around shortly for a final check. I tightened the belt of my hospital gown around me and waited, relieved by the good news. I made my way to the exam table and stretched out, the crepe paper crinkling beneath me. After an anxiety-filled night worrying that the scans would reveal something that shouldn't be there, I was exhausted. I had just dozed off when suddenly I heard the door to the exam room next to me open and close. I heard my surgeon's muffled voice greet the patient waiting inside, but I didn't catch her name. I heard the conversation coming through a shared air vent in the ceiling. And then for the second time in my life, I heard the words that no woman ever wants to hear.
Your biopsy came back positive for breast cancer.
I sat up immediately. Was I dreaming? I I knew this was real when the nameless patient and I audibly gasped at the same time. I will never forget when I heard those exact words. I got the call from my radiologist while I was at work, in a staff meeting no less. That was the day that my Challenger exploded. Today it seemed like Challenger exploded again for the nameless patient in the now airless room next door. And then I heard my own fear of recurrence ricochet against the walls as the walls were closing in on me. I listened to the woman as I began to pace around my room. Stunned by the news, she asked question after question, trying to piece together the millions of fragments of her former life that had just shattered. I listened to my surgeon. She answered all of her questions dutifully. Listen to me, I wanted to shout into the vent. Everything's gonna be all right. All I wanted to do was float through that air duct and land on the other side and wrap my arms around that stranger. Of course I couldn't. But as I stood there frozen, I saw how I persevered through my own orbital journey with cancer, and at the end, touched down safely. Breast cancer would hurl this nameless patient into the stratosphere as well. But she would make it back to Earth. I knew what I had to do. I would be her silent guide. I would think of her over the coming months. I would wish her Godspeed from Mission Control. I willed my surgeon to take all the time she needed with the patient. I could wait. I made my way over to the exam table. And I quietly wept from my secret chair.